Hello everybody, welcome back to another video. Today I'll be giving you guys the latest update on this tropical storm that really just popped up out of nowhere here. It's actually named Tropical Storm Nicholas. Now before I get into this video, I'll ask anyone who is actually interested in these weather updates to please check out my Instagram. The link will be in the description. It's weatherman underscore 315. I say this because it is actually much more convenient for me to post there when it comes to frequent updates amid these natural disasters. I guess the alternative to this would be live streaming here on YouTube, which is something I actually plan on doing here in the future, the near future, I should say. I've done one before, but I feel like I got to get a little more experience beforehand. Anyways, let's get into the video here, into this update. So we have actually been tracking Tropical Storm Nicholas as it continues to progress along the Gulf Coast and into more inland areas. This will actually result in consistent chances of precipitation throughout the period here over really, and when I say period, I mean from now, Tuesday morning, really all the way till really Wednesday afternoon. But these chances of precipitation are actually really expected to increase, as well as just torrential downpours to really produce some of this flash flooding. This is mainly due to the moisture inflow from the Gulf of Mexico, so that's going to continue to move into the atmosphere here. Nicholas actually continues to move northeast here. According to several ensembles and models, even right here in the cone, you can see it's actually predicted to move northeast. However, some forecasts actually indicate that it'll leave the area more quickly, while others, I should really say the majority, actually show that it will stick around in the forecasted area. It'll actually remain there in its path for quite a long time. I personally believe that it'll stick around there before proceeding northeastward. We can actually expect tropical storm force winds across portions of southeast Texas and southwest Louisiana. Those are the two big regions here. Southwestern Louisiana, really the whole Louisiana coast, mainly southeastern Louisiana. These regions are actually just heavily impacted by Hurricane Ida, which actually just struck the area just a couple weeks back, really late August. That actually made landfall as a Category 4 hurricane. So as you can imagine, it was catastrophic in terms of the inundation, the long-lasting rainfall, really just extensive flooding, as well as the storm surge. So there's just widespread damage there still. The recovery rate is obviously still in effect. So it's really going to take months for them to actually fully recover. But now we have Tropical Storm Nicholas here, which actually did make landfall as a hurricane. It actually just made landfall along the Gulf Coast of Texas, actually, as a Category 1 hurricane just earlier this morning, in the wee hours of the morning. Of course, now it actually threatens eastern Texas and Louisiana with these high winds, stretch rainfall rates, and flooding. Wind speeds are not going to be nearly as strong as it was for Hurricane Ida when that made landfall on the Louisiana coast. But in terms of flooding, it should still, I feel, according to all these models, they're predicting it to be very slow moving, which obviously it's very flood inducing, something you really don't want to see, especially after what we just experienced a couple weeks back, which also caused major flooding. And that was much more fast moving than this, so we're not looking at a good setup here. But really the entire region, really stretching from southeastern Texas all the way to the Florida Panhandle, is actually really will be a risk here for flooding from these storms, from these bands here of Tropical Storm Nicholas. As a result of the continued onshore flow, there actually is a high chance for precipitation through the end of the period. We also have to, here's a good reminder here, while Nicholas actually is slow, is moving quite slow, activity is likely to remain in the area for quite some time, meaning we have that moisture in the air, so it could really gradually even expand even further while it continues to move more inland, so even more rainfall, really battering that region. But as the storm progresses towards the northeast, high pressure could actually slow things down. That's why I personally believe that some of the other models that project this tropical storm to be moving very slow moving. I mean, you can even see here in the forecast cone here. It's very hard to see, but you can see right here while it's set up really along the Louisiana, really just eastern Texas. We're getting closer to the Louisiana border. Just east of the Houston metro area. This will be 1 a.m. on Wednesday. We zoom in hours later to western Louisiana, just as it crosses the border. It'll be 1 o'clock in the afternoon. That is extremely slow moving. I think just the other night it was moving at roughly around 9-10 miles per hour. So we're looking at a very slow moving storm here. So with this high pressure in place, it'll really even make it, that's what we'll really be slowing it down here. Now, Weather Prediction Center actually has portions of southeastern Texas and southwestern Louisiana at a high risk of excessive rain. That is going to be catastrophic rainfall, and I'm sure catastrophic. This is really reminding me of Hurricane Harvey. Really at the speed it's moving at a very slow pace, as well as the fact that it also made landfall as a hurricane, although not quite as extreme. Hurricane Harvey actually made landfall as a Category 3. This actually made landfall as a Category 1. Hurricane Harvey really made a big impact on the Houston area, Houston metro. Really brought historic flooding to that area like they've never seen. Streets were just completely flooded. Extreme inundation through that area. But we actually do a flash flood watch actually remains in effect throughout the region right now. As we actually now enter the long range forecast horizon here, I actually like to mention that both the GFS and the Bureau model are largely in agreement with Nicholas that will actually consolidate into a remnant weak low in Louisiana. Actually, see here, if we actually zoom in on the GFS, you can see how it really just becomes a lot more disorganized and really just weakens here as it gets to this area. Whereas if we just rewind a couple of hours, you can see that there's much more organization here, a lot more heavier rainfall. If we actually see here in the GFS, you can see here we have a very strong hurricane. Potentially, actually, this may be once it actually downgrade into a tropical storm. Either way, very close to a hurricane here. Very similar characteristics. Very organized system. Very organized center of circulation here. We can see the eye beginning to form here. If we actually fast forward now, we see that it does become a tropical storm right around here. Not quite as extreme, but if we actually fast forward even further, we can see that it really becomes like I said, once it gets in Louisiana, the Euro model here is actually showing the same thing as it moves into Louisiana. You can see that we can see the low here. This could actually possibly still be a tropical depression, but if we actually fast forward more, you can see that the low is completely disappears here, which actually indicates that it has just become a weak remnant low, no longer a tropical storm. Really in the center of Louisiana here, if you actually go into GFS, you can see once it gets to the center, much more disorganized, not so much circulation here. But still, as you can see, this does not mean that there will not be as much rain. You still see here there's exponential rain throughout these areas, especially southeastern Louisiana, southern Mississippi. Like I said, even to get to the Florida Panhandle, these are actually outer bands still of this low. Still probably a tropical depression by this point. So the GFS and Euro model are in large agreement here, with the persistent trough axis actually stretching across from the northern Gulf Coast, really from northeast to southwest. Forecasters with the WPC Weather Prediction Center actually predict that 4 to 5 inches of rainfall may fall today through tonight over deep eastern Texas and western Louisiana, northward to the I-20 corridor. There actually being increased east wind flow that are actually developed across the deep eastern Texas this afternoon as Nicholas actually moves inland. Like I said, this is really not going to expedite the process here of this hurricane, as it'll be heavily slowed down by the high pressure system. We could actually possibly see on the Euro model here if we actually get a chance. This is what we're talking about right here. It's in western North Carolina, really into the upper Midwest region. Really just stalled here in the southeast. Once the tropical storm begins to, you can actually see the you see the hurricane here right before it makes landfall. Once it makes landfall, you see that the high pressure is still here. It's still going to have an effect on it, believe it or not, even as it moves a little further inland. But I'd really say the rainfall threat will gradually shift east with Nicholas into Wednesday, with the heaviest precipitation lingering across portions of north central and northeast Louisiana. And I'd say those are really the hot topics here and the greatest risks everyone needs to watch out for. Please stay off the roads if you can. There are really so many different roads are going to be flooded in this area. It's going to be really more of a rainfall event rather than the wind speeds, as this is going to be the biggest issue, the storm surge as well as the flooding. So we're going to have numerous different flash flood warnings as well as storm surge warnings. As you can see here, it really just came on shore here across Texas. Lots of storm surge throughout this area as it made landfall. So that's really it for this update, guys. If you did enjoy the video, please leave a like. If you do enjoy these weather updates in general, please consider subscribing to the channel as well as following my Instagram. So that's about it for this update, guys. I will see you guys in the next one.